Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. My ultimate goal today is to make sure that after today's discussion, you will never, ever make any speaker to feel like that when you evaluate him or her. And I will start with a definition what a Toastmaster evaluation is. It's not very smooth, but I try to feel everything there, what I'm going to discuss today with you. So first of all, a Toastmaster evaluation, and I will be talking only about those 2 to 3 minute oral evaluations we give to each other during the meetings. So every evaluation is a mini speech. It's prepared, but it's given extemporaneously, which makes it even more challenging. The content of this evaluation is a personal opinion of the evaluator about how the speaker can communicate his or her message to the audience better. And the goal of the evaluation is to inspire, to motivate the speaker to come here to the lectern and be eager to give more and more speeches. So, and I will try to find out together, I hope we will find it out together, what makes an evaluation effective. We will discuss 3 main principles of an effective evaluation. We will talk about main parts of an effective evaluation, and at the end, we will touch a little bit on practical aspects of a Toastmaster evaluation. We'll start with the very first principle. A Toastmaster evaluation is nothing more than a personal opinion of the evaluator. And that this is something I didn't realize in the very beginning, but that is true. The evaluator is not a judge. He or she is not a final authority. Very often we find the situation when a beginner speaker is evaluating a seasoned Toastmasters. It's actually happened to me. My very first speaker I evaluated here, 2 speeches or 3 speeches down the road here, was Arnie Buss, who was giving his competent communicator speech for the 10th time. And to be honest, at that time, I didn't understand at least 1/3 of words he said. And at least half of jokes he used. And I thought I understand the rest, but I made it wrong. So I was really confused. I didn't know how possibly I could provide my feedback to Arnie if my perception of his speech is so blurry. But what I realized is that any evaluation given by a beginner is as valuable as an evaluation given by an experienced speaker. And the reason is that we may be not that experienced in speaking, not that experienced in being a Toastmaster or evaluator, but we are very experienced as the listeners, as the audience. And we are the one who decide if the message the speaker is giving got through. And one practical implication of this principle is that the speaker has all the rights to disagree and maybe ignore part or the whole evaluation and the comments given. It's up to him or to her. Another way to remember that we need to actually project this principle when we do the evaluation. And this means that instead of words I just used, we need to, we must, you should, we better use sentences like, I have learned this practice that. This technique I found useful from my own experience, and so on. The second principle is that it's not about the evaluator. This is not the show time for the evaluator. It's all about the person the evaluator is talking about. And actually, that's helped me realize that I don't have to be afraid that I do something wrong. As long as I care about the speaker, all I want to do is to help the person. And in this case, there is no failure. So it helps reduce the fear of failure or public speaking considerably. And the third principle, I use the word constructive for it, and it implies that it should be positive, honest, and very specific. We will touch on these adverbs a little bit more when we talk about practical aspect of evaluation, but very important, it also helps the evaluator to choose from a long list of observations we make during the speech what specifically to talk about and how to phrase it. So those are three main principles. Don't forget, you're providing your own personal opinion, and your speech has to be the speaker oriented. I was going to use the word evaluee, but I think that Ian would be mad with me. And your evaluation has to be constructive. And now it brings me to the part how to construct it. And I will be talking about sandwich method only. There are other methods to layer your evaluation with praise and constructive feedback. But this is the simplest one. This is the one which is most often used in the Toastmaster settings, sandwich method. I did look for a definition, and the one I found said that sandwich method of feedback means that you're providing constructive suggestion for improvement, sandwich between layers of praise. And that's what it is, even though it may be a little bit oversimplified, but we will look at that in depth. So start with the positive feedback. What was good? What did the speaker do? What he or she did really well? And I used to think that this is mostly for beginners. I thought that beginning speakers need to have more vegetarian sandwiches, while seasoned Toastmaster would benefit from Atkins style. But I was wrong. At least right now I think I was wrong. I think that seasoned Toastmasters can benefit from, let's say, praise, from positive feedback, as much as the beginners. And the reason is that as we get more experienced, we try to experiment more. And we need to know, did it work? Or maybe not. Should we use this approach, this tool again, or maybe lose it, drop it? And another thing is that it's sometimes really hard to understand what was done good. What was it which made this particular speech a success? And for the evaluator to provide this insight for the club, it means that the club will benefit, everybody will benefit from this information. And let me talk a little bit more about being specific. Let's do a little exercise. Suppose you heard a speech and you noticed that the speaker in the very beginning asked a very dynamic, very thought-provoking question. And this turned the speech 180 degrees around. It made you want to listen more. How you phrase your observation. One simple way is to be positive, to be loud and say, your speech opening was very effective. What would you say instead? Anybody? Remembering about these principles, Arnie? I know you want to say something.
When you asked us what we would do in this circumstance, it really drew me in.
All right, yes. So that's actually what I wanted to suggest. Cite the question, talk about the impression you got from it, the result of it, talk from your own perspective. So we were talking about positive feedback, and this is looking back. Okay, what was good? The next layer in the sandwich, the meat, is positive feed forward. This is something we can tell to the speaker how he or she can communicate his or her message better to the audience. Again, being very constructive. So we can comment on speech objective, humor, gestures, eye contact, contact with the audience, but we never comment on the speaker himself or on the message. Whatever message is, even if I don't agree with it, my role is to help the speaker to communicate it effectively. And again, specific suggestions on how to improve. This is another exercise, and I encourage you to think about it after the meeting. And the third part, the conclusion. This is the shortest one, and it's probably the most challenging one, because by that time, I usually run out of time, and all I can say is, looking forward to your next speech, and run out. But there are things to discuss. You can talk about the next project the person is going to give. You can discuss the main strength of the speaker, or at least mention it. You can recap the positive feedback and reinforce the improvements. And I challenge you to think about it more and find your own creative way to conclude your speech on a positive, on the high note. So what was good, how to improve, positive and motivating conclusion. And now 3 steps which can be used practically to prepare and deliver an effective evaluation. This is my checklist I used when I am getting ready to evaluate somebody. So read the project and evaluation guidelines. Talk to the speaker. What are the personal objectives he or she has? What concerns? Maybe he or she decided to apply a new method, Zen method, for example, as opposed to Toastmaster method. You want to encourage, you want to evaluate this specific aspect of the speech. Be aware of the speaker's level, where he or she is in the educational program. This is something I learned from Christian Crum. If you know him, he is a very experienced evaluator. Projects 2 to 6 from the Competent Communicator Manual will tell you everything you may want to look at as you listen to a speech you're going to evaluate. And prepare a template. One template Kyle prepared today to evaluate my speech, and I'm very grateful to you. I also gave you several more options you can use. I listen to your evaluations. I personally like the simplest one better, when you can have what was good, what's to improve, the goal of the speech, and the conclusion. But there are much more elaborate, very interesting, at least try it sometime. All right? So what you do during the meeting, you listen actively, you take notes, and you very carefully select what you're going to say and how you're going to phrase it. And after the meeting, talk to the speaker. There are certainly a lot of things you get to discuss with him or her. Ask how she felt about the speech she just gave. Did it work out? Maybe something she wants you to comment about. Provide a written evaluation. Without a written evaluation, the speaker doesn't get the credit for the speech. And solicit feedback from your fellow Toastmasters. You may or may not agree with what I just told you, with some tips or practical aspects of what I just told you. I ask you to remember about the 3 principles. That it's your personal opinion, that it's centered and focused towards the person you're talking about, you're evaluating. And it needs to be very specific, positive, honest, very constructive, positive, honest, and specific. Use these principles and design your own sentence.